consistency is what everyone strives for. So how do you make a crazy, chaotic position or a role or inconsistent?
Feel structured.
You feel structured and consistent.
We've had pushback from people who felt, oh, this is corporate-y.
The shops out there that are not corporate-y are like, bring a case of beer in and let's
stay up all night and wrap this Friday. And we used to be that. It didn't work. You can't grow that.
Are you wrapping cars more than 12 hours a day, every day? Working nonstop but can barely get by? Burnout, missing deadlines, and wondering just how much longer you can keep this up?
That was us too. We started our wrap shop buried under $250,000 in debt, and it felt absolutely impossible. But we dug out, built a profitable shop, and are still in the trenches of owning and operating a wrap shop. We're here to share what we learned along the way so that you don't make the same mistakes that we did.
And we're here to help you with the business side of the wraps, like pricing, building a team, streamlining your systems, ultimately so that you can run your shop and your shop stops running you.
Welcome to the WrapOps Podcast, brought to you by Wrap Fam Unleashed. You wanted to do some fun intro. Do it.
Oh, no. There's no fun intro. I'm sorry.
What up? It's your boy, AB, your girl, TV.
Back on the beat.
Okay. Anyway, we're coming at you today with a pretty, efficient episode.
Yeah.
So the gist of today is to basically let you know some lessons that, again, we have learned the hard way, which that might be the overarching theme of the entire podcast.
Yeah.
Here is how we crashed and burned 100 times. And then on the 101st try, we maybe figured it out.
Oh, yeah.
So today, what we're hoping you guys get out of this podcast is figuring out another way to help your team, help build a team, help hire, and more importantly, help retain those team members. So we all know it's really hard to go through that entire hiring process, onboarding, training, and then they're there a few months and then they dip. And then you're right back to square one. And that also costs you a lot of money as well. Yeah. So the cost of turnover is really expensive. And we definitely, I wonder what our number would be.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, we actually don't have a full number on that, but that'd probably be a scary number. So anyway, the biggest thing that I think we've really learned when it comes to a team is just how much they crave consistency and that structure. And I think that might go back to, if you go all the way back to when we were all in grade school, you knew I'm going to be in art for an hour and then I'm going to go to science for an hour and lunch is at this time. And if I'm late, I, don't get perfect attendance or whatever. I think it's ingrained in almost all of us.
I think that's just like a normal human thing to want consistency, want rhythm, want a pattern. Yeah, I think that's just part of being human.
And I think even as the owner of a business, I personally crave it. And that's been a hard adaptation for me it's really hard to get consistency as the owner of a business and kind of realizing more of anchor points throughout the day. But anyway, we just want to spend today kind of diving into how our specific team has structure and what we have done to build that. And this definitely wasn't something that happened overnight. I would say elements have been added over certain years. We've tried some things, and like I said, they crashed and burned, and some things have done really well. And a big thing to note also is it's really hard to have that existing team and then all of a sudden be like, this is how we operate now. You definitely have to have the right team for that.
Yeah. And I think to try to get a old team member to adapt to new ways is just, however, you can't just say it once. You have to echo it over and over and over again of this is what we're changing. This is why we're changing it. I really need you to understand and be on board to the new team.
And the big thing there is the why. So whenever you're making a big change, it's not just for funsies because I'm on a power trip. It's this is the result that I'm hoping to get. And I would even tell the whole team that. We're adding this in. This is the result that I'm hoping. We're going to do it for 90 days and see how it goes. And we're going to do it consistently. And if we all hate it, then we'll move on. Yeah. And that comes back to, who did you hire? Are they good culture fits or are they not? And they'll self-select out if they don't want to adapt to the way that you're going to run the business. And you kind of have to make that risk of, is it okay to lose this person over this policy I want to implement or something? Yeah. So cool. So let's start with our daily cadence. So right now, Andrew kind of acts as our install manager. So of course, we're both owners, but we don't have someone running the install manager position, if you will. So I'll let you take it away on what the daily cadence is for our install team specifically, and then maybe you can touch on front desk and design and print.
Yeah, absolutely. So To that point, and if you run a wrap shop, you definitely know every day is different. It's not like you wrap the same thing every single day, and every single day is the exact same. But the idea here is, how do we implement as much of the consistency as possible? Starts right off the rip, first thing in the morning. So our shop, at least from an install standpoint, we start at 7, and at 7:05 we have a whiteboard meeting, which is what it sounds like. It's a stand-up meeting at the whiteboard. We go over the game plan, essentially from that time period until the second whiteboard meeting of the day, which is right after lunch. These meetings typically don't last more than 3 minutes. It's just a simple breakdown of what you want, whoever, however many installers you have. You're just giving them essentially the priority list. Like, this is what I need you to get done this half.
And it's very specific, to interrupt you. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be like you're wrapping this bumper together,
Yeah.
or you're on passenger side door handles. We have found that when you just give like a whole project, the prioritization of what order you want
Yeah.
the car wrapped in regards to efficiency is sometimes overlooked. That being said, I'm not saying it's possible. You may have an installer who's very efficiency minded, but when you're hiring brand new people, which is what our team does,
Mm-hmm.
we hire installers mostly with no experience. You're kind of teaching that efficiency. So sorry to derail you on that, but just to let you know, it's very specific on what they're doing.
Yeah, and to that point, and then just for a reference of size, I mean, there's one install manager. There's 4 to 6 kind of installers or shop ops that kind of report to me within this board meeting. So the idea there is, I'm the one who's supposed to be focused on efficiency. So
Yeah, so it
I'm.
takes some pre-planning up front, because it's like a puzzle piece of, what's the due date of these jobs,
Mhm.
what's the hardware breakdown, how can we get all of this done in the time that we have allotted.
Yep.
So yeah, and then something I also wanted to touch on that you didn't mention is the Monday specific whiteboard meeting.
Mhm.
So in our shop, most of our full wraps are booked on a Monday to Monday timeframe. So they drop off Monday, they pick up the next Monday. On Monday, the team gets to see what all the jobs are for the week, and they
Mhm.
even have visuals of that as well. If you want to elaborate on that for a second.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. So at that Monday morning whiteboard meeting specifically, there's an extra 2 minutes built into it, where we have already essentially downloaded all of the proofs into one kind of slideshow, as you will. Like, it could literally just be like photos on your phone. This doesn't have to be super fancy. It's an iPad for us, but anyway, instead of just seeing on the whiteboard, like, you know, van wrap, truck wrap, wall wrap, the lettering on a box truck here, you're literally swiping through proofs, because at the end of the day, we're all rappers and we're all pretty visual people. So seeing that kind of top of the week to kind of get an understanding of everything that's going to happen that week, even if the vehicles haven't dropped off yet. That's the first like 2 minutes of the Monday morning meeting. And then we break down into the specifics of,
Yeah.
you know, Abby, I need you to work on, that trailer, start with the rear and then roll to the passenger side. What Abby may not know is I'm starting her on the rear, which opens up both driver and passenger side with different reference and mock-up points. So I could put a different installer on driver side later in the day or later in the week if I want to. I also know my hardware is on the rear and the passenger side. So if we can get those done first, I can have someone come in and finish the hardware before the rest of the project's done. Anyway, that's kind of tangent on efficiency, but from a cadence of a day, um, we start 7 a.m. every single day with that stand up. Again, it really doesn't take more than like 3 minutes. And that is the time for them to ask questions, get clarity if there's something they don't quite understand or something, maybe it's an installer that's learning and they're about to tackle a piece that's difficult and they want to essentially raise their hand for help. This is a perfect opportunity to do that. After that, um, first whiteboard of the meeting, the lunchtime is a very set time as well. So again, kind of talking about how do we be as consistent as we can in a very inconsistent um, week to week project and day to day project workflow. The next part of that is lunch. It is 12:30 to 1, kind of pretty much wherever you're at. Drop your tools, go eat lunch, and then report back at the whiteboard at 1 o'clock. Whiteboard meeting starts at 1:05. So if you haven't seen there is that 5 minute built in. So like clocking at 1, be at the whiteboard by 1:05. So that 5 minutes is, if you took a nap, wipe the eye boogers, like clean up your lunch, whatever it is, but be ready to go at the whiteboard at 1:05.
And that is our specific attendance policy, which is very black or white. It's written by their lockers and everything. They have a 5-minute buffer. So if you have to be at work at 7:06 is considered late. So we give you 5 minutes to run late, have a bad day, whatever. But there is that like very stern 1:06 is late, and the whole team knows that.
Yep.
So
yeah, because it like right at 1:05, install manager, which is me actively, is I'm talking. We're figuring out what the game plan is for the second half of the day. And the slight difference between the first whiteboard meeting and the second whiteboard meeting is in the second whiteboard meeting, I'm essentially asking for the report back. So before I give direction of what we're going to do in the second half, I'm asking. So for that example earlier, we put Abby on the rear of the trailer and then asked her to start on the passenger. I'm asking for that update. Like, where are you at? Is the rear done? How many panels have you got done on the passenger side? And how many panels do you have left? And then we go to each installer, kind of gives their report of essentially what they got done and what they would have left to finish what we had put out in the first half.
And the point of that is like you have to stand in front of your peers and basically say, I only got one panel done. So you're self-reporting the progress that you made. And if you only got one panel done, then kind of like, again, in front of everyone, you're most likely going to ask, what happened? How did we only get that much done? And then there might be a valid reason of the whole thing was covered in adhesive and I had to spend 2 hours prepping it or whatever. And that's fine. But anywho, that's why. So everything that we do has a reason as to why it is done that way. And again, this is also really good for a newer staff, newer installers. So I know a lot of shops run as like, you and you get this project done for the week. And that is awesome. If that works for you, that has not worked for us. But I could see maybe at some point something like that happens. But for newer people, it helps of just put your headphones in, wrap these pieces, and it's a good day if you get those done.
Yeah. And we also, as much as we can, try to push team, like it's a team sport. So that second half, if it allows us to like move people across projects kind of in real time. So in that second whiteboard meeting, if someone's really close to finishing a project, but they might not be able to get it over the finish line by themselves, we might pause a different project, roll that installer over to help a different installer and be like, all right, let's put all our efforts to this project because we can actually get this across the finish line tonight. And we'll get that project done and then be able to roll all our efforts to that other project the next morning.
So it's very orchestrated.
Yeah. We have seen over the years and like, there's multiple ways to run a shop, but what we've found is the isolated, just you're on your own island. This is your project, almost not treating you as a team member, but almost as your own, contractor, as you will. We've seen a lot of like, I don't know the fancy terms, but there's not a lot of teamwork. There's very much individual personalities rather than team sport personalities.
Yeah. So then circling back to the lunch thing specifically, we used to do like finish that piece and then you can go on lunch. Then the whole staff's on lunch at different times, which was very chaotic, especially if you were waiting on one person to like finish a piece to help you out for something. And then you don't know where they're at. And then you can't keep track of the times of like how long have they been at lunch because everyone's at a different time. But I do remember when we first implemented the set lunch and it was like an uproar. It was very chaotic. The set lunch was not loved.
Yeah.
But I would never go back to not having the set lunch. And we used to do an hour and I noticed that, it was too much. And if you think about it, when you do an hour, you're adding an extra 30 minutes that they can't go home at the end of the day. That's kind of on you because, our team goes home at 4 ideally.
Yeah.
So now they're going home at 4:30. If we did an hour lunch, where my goal is like, do your job, get out, go have your life. So we made it to 30 minutes. And the other thing I noticed just from like visually looking around is the whole team would scroll on TikTok for 30 minutes. And it's like proven science that is horrible for your mental health and your morale. And then we're kind of paying the consequences of you're exhausted, you're grumpy, you're moody because you just depleted all of your dopamine in 30 minutes. So if you haven't done research on like scrolling, definitely do. It's horrible for you. But so in a weird way, that was like our attempt to, obviously I'm not going to control what they do at lunch. It's not like a dictatorship and no phones at lunch, but I try to limit the time I allow them to get away with that.
I was going to say the 30-minute is a good time frame of like you're hustling, you're eating,
And then you're back to
and
it.
then you're back to it, and let's get to it. You didn't spend that time again scrolling, so just doom scrolling, wasting all your dopamine.
Yeah. Or taking a nap. We had a lot of people that were taking naps when we had the hour break.
Yeah, there's a noticeable energy difference at those whiteboard meetings from a 30-minute lunch to an hour. The hours, everyone's drained, they're kind of pissy. Again, that doom scrolling, they don't come with a good energy. But 30 minutes, like they're good, they're hustling. One thing to, at the end of the day, we're not, Nazis about it. There's definitely team members that want to try to get into the Taco Bell line that takes too long or whatever. Or you now have the whole squad going to the microwave at one time. So they do also, use their head. Like they're done with their panel 10 minutes till lunch. They'll just dip a little early so that they can get into the microwave, go get whatever food they need. So
yeah, and it's common
fine,
too. They'll book appointments or things like that and say, I need like a longer lunch. That's fine. But that's all about communication. But the expectation is that 30 minutes, and we do it from 12:30 to 1 every day.
Yeah. So again, just a question, obviously, with that consistency is really those two whiteboard meetings, the set lunch, as far as what does a normal Tuesday look like.
And then the set end time. So our goal is always that they're out the door by 4. It's not perfect, of course, because when you're wrapping, how do you plan that out? So sometimes they might work a little bit over. Sometimes they might go home early. But I'm trying to give them consistency of that set time. And that being said, they have outs. So we have daily cleaning tasks that the whole team does. So we don't have like professional cleaners that come clean the building. I wish we did. That'd be awesome. But we have it divvied out. Installers clean the back of the shop. Front desk cleans the lobby. Print operator cleans the print room. We have 2 bathrooms, so the front of house people clean the front bathroom, back of house take turns cleaning the back of bathroom or the back shop bathroom. And even the cleaning is incredibly systematic, and they have their little daily outs of restocking the cart, taking the trash out, things like that. So when they show up to work in the morning, they're good to go. So it's pretty set. And then the only difference is from, front desk to other positions. Our front desk person has a daily checklist that's on a Google sheet, since she's sitting at a computer, she or he, whoever it may be, sitting at a computer. And then our print operator has her own list that she comes up with. So kind of on their own little island there, because it's less of a team in regards to we only have one print operator and one front desk person right now. But whereas the installers, there's multiple of them.
Yeah, but as to that front desk position, which just trying to figure out how to make everyone's life as consistent as possible. Obviously, both those positions still have a set start time, and they do have their set lunch time.
And it's the same as the rest of the team. And that was on purpose to try to get them to hang out, eat lunch together.
Culture.
Culture building, basically. So they're on the same thing there as well.
Yep. And that front desk position has, essentially, we've boiled the position down to a checklist. And that I'm actually training a new front desk person like this week. So it's one of those, like, I know this position can go crazy and chaotic for a minute with like 4 walk-ins, a call, an email, a text. But at the end of the day, when it's like, all right, the dust is settled, let me get back to like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Go back to the checklist, and literally every day it's a literal like Google Sheet checklist of, do this. Then after that, this is what you're supposed to do, from essentially how to open up and turn on the scent machine all the way down to the end of when you're turning the lights off and turning off the open sign. It's all to a checklist.
Oh, yeah.
But to try to give consistency in a pretty chaotic position is just, it'll go chaotic for a minute and just get yourself back to the checklist so it's nice and consistent. And as we said at the top of this, consistency is what everyone strives for. So how do you make a crazy, chaotic position or a role or inconsistent
feel structured?
You feel structured and consistent. But
Absolutely.
that's kind of the daily consistency across.
Yeah. And then
positions.
weekly, we also have things that occur every week at the same time. So one of those is we do a production meeting every Tuesday. So the whole staff gets together, and for 1 hour, we never go over it. Sometimes it does let out early, but we're always sure to not go over it. We go over just certain metrics that we keep track of to essentially let the team know how was last week. Did we do good or did we do bad?
Yeah.
Basically. And then they also get to go over their goals and things like that. And the big thing with the production meeting is it is never skipped. However, we're not perfect. So to speak of what happened this week, like Andrew said, he's training a new front desk person. And then I see a message in Slack that says, front desk or the production meeting isn't happening today. And I immediately message him and I'm like, it can't be canceled. You can postpone it, but you can't cancel it, essentially. And so he messaged again saying it'll happen tomorrow at 10:30 or same time.
Same time, just tomorrow.
So that's a big thing is as the team will pick up on, oh, they never do this. They always say they're going to do it and then they always postpone it and they always cancel it. They will pick up on that very fast. It needs to be a set. It always happens. We do not miss this meeting.
Yeah.
And if anything, it's pre-communicated as to why, but we always do our best not to miss that. The whole team also has one-to-ones. We actually do this weekly. It's very interesting. I get mixed feedback on that from other like professionals. Like when we're out talking to other business owners, like, ooh, weekly? Like I would hate to talk to my boss that much. I think that might have been one of the best things we've ever done.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. So I'll let you elaborate on the reasoning for the one-to-ones.
Yeah. So both, honestly, the one-to-ones and the production meeting being weekly. The production meeting I'll start with first is we're going over those key like metrics, and there's a whole nother like series of podcasts on how you identify what metrics. But regardless, we're going over the metrics that we feel are the most important to us in our shop on making sure that the whole shop is running efficiently. And then the more arguably more important of that meeting is our issues list. So that is a safe space once a week where the entire team sits around a table and anyone on the team can add to our issues list. And then the next part of adding to our issues list is we're prioritizing, and then we solve issue after issue, as many as we can within that hour. But the idea is that nothing should fester. It shouldn't just be like, my work sucks because this is super inefficient, or this part, I hate that, like this is a bottleneck or something that makes me upset at work. Add it to the issues list and we solve it, so that nothing continuously is wearing down on any individual, that they get to put it out in front of the team and the team helps solve the problem. And then the one-to-one is really for that one is so that nothing is festering between the individual and the manager.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
And they are not going to tell you on their own.
Yeah.
So I think we used to think, like to interrupt you on that, we used to think, oh, if they have a problem, they'll come up and tell us. That does not happen. They will just I don't know, swallow it and hold it in, and then they quit. And it's a big like F you quit. It's not like here's a 2 weeks, wish you the best. So yeah, the one-to-ones are almost kind of like a tiny production meeting in that regard, just specific to them.
Yeah. So. And to the, I would say maybe more the old school managers out there that are like, oh, I don't want to talk about personal life at work. Like you leave that at the door.
Good luck.
I don't know what demographic of people you manage, but that's not a thing. Like work outside, like personal life absolutely affects work life. So as a manager, you're going to have to talk about that as well. Obviously, there's definitely a threshold of like, whoa, okay, you might need an actual therapist. Like I can't, like my expertise is done.
Yeah. But you might spend the 30 minutes talking about a fight they had with their girlfriend at home.
Yeah.
Because that's affecting their work.
And you just let them vent.
And yeah, and typically they feel better after. And then you kind of know, okay, this is why Jimmy John is slower this week. And you go from there.
Yeah. And and some of those, this is where we've definitely heard of like, oh, how do you do that weekly? It's so much time, whatever. I've literally had one-to-ones that last 7 minutes. Yeah. And it's literally just hey, I have no critiques that I've seen, and like I have nothing that I want to critique you. I just want to gas you up. You've been awesome. You've done this. I've noticed that. Like, kudos to you. Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything that I could do more of or less of to make your life easier? Kind of along those lines. And it's for those, it's like their response is just like, no, I'm good. Like, happy and we'll move forward. And it's a simple high five and we're on our way. 7-minute one-to-one, but we gave that open and set aside space every single week.
Where it's uninterrupted time too, especially if, like I said, you're acting as install manager right now. They know that they have 30 minutes blocked off with you.
Yeah.
Of like, I know Andrew's running around like crazy all the time, but I do have this set time. And it's kind of funny. I actually was talking to a team member the other day who just the way things had worked out, like this specific individual was on like an on-site during their one-to-one time. And I think he went like 2 weeks without one. And you could tell he was like itching to have one with you. So they ask, like, I need my one-to-one. Like I haven't had it yet. So that's very interesting. I didn't expect that. So I would say that if you are not doing one-to-ones, take the time to add that in, but we're going to keep going.
Yeah.
We can talk on that forever. So we also have a department head meeting that happens once a week. Again, that's a quick 15-minute meeting. So a big theme you'll see with our meetings is just because it's a meeting doesn't mean we need 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So some are certain times, but some are fast 5, 10-minute, 15-minute meetings. So we have our department head meeting. The goal of that is just to make sure next week is good to go. Then we have our design and printer. She does a weekly priority sheet every week, and it's just on repeat. That's what needs to get printed in order to set up the next week. We also have our weekly cleaning checklist. So that might be sweeping, something that we don't need to do every single day, but kind of those bigger tasks. We also do inventory every single Tuesday. It's a set thing. So just making sure, because there's nothing like your installers not having vinyl or not having like blades. So there are certain things that are actually production halting. If you do a lot of removals, whatever, removal adhesive remover you're using, we've had that issue where you're panicking because you run out. So that really helps limit any friction throughout the rest of the week. And then we talked about this in a previous episode, so you'll have to go check it out if you haven't. But we also have a weekly owners meeting. So me and Andrew get together every week and we meet, and we're not necessarily talking about production. We're talking about the business. And we also pick our top 2 to 3 tasks for that week. And then that's also our time to let us know, like, you're training this week. So I'm not going to harp on you on why didn't this large high level task of like build a marketing calendar, why didn't that get done? Because I know you're training someone this week. So that wouldn't have even been on your list. But anyway, that's our weekly cadences. And like I said, those happen every single week on top of those daily cadences. And then we get into our quarterly. Do you want to talk about what we do every quarter?
I mean, the biggest one is just the kind of I don't know what fancy term we have, but the quarter one, we essentially turn our weekly production meeting once a quarter. And this again is because if you're still here listening, it's like, oh my gosh, how many meetings do you have? Like, yes.
Well, some replace others.
Yeah.
So if we have a quarterly meeting, it will replace the production meeting.
So the quarterly meeting again is in that production meeting time slot. We cap it to an hour. We really try to make sure we don't go over that. But that,
and it's only once a quarter.
Yeah, and it's only once a quarter. It's in the same time slot as that production meeting, and it's like what you would expect in a quarterly meeting. So we're going to go over, how did we do last quarter? Ideally, we're putting some type of like North Star. So like we're reinforcing whatever the mission is. Like right now for us, it's build a team. So we're trying to build a team.
Specifically 10. Yeah. So like I make the team say it at the beginning of the meeting of like, what's our goal?
Yeah.
And they're like, build a team.
But it's laughable, but one thing to not forget as assuming that you're the wrap shop owner, kind of higher level management, is your team members that are, walk in that door every day and help you on like the day to day and on the ground stuff. They might forget what the up like level, leadership and the owners are focused on. Like, what is the actual goal? Like, their goal is get those box trucks and trailers and get those wraps out each week. But the quarterly cadence is a good reinforcement on a quarterly scale. It's far enough apart that you can actually really show progress and like report back metrics of like, we've added team members, like, or whatever the goal is. So you can actually show you're making progress. But it's also not so far apart that everyone forgets what what the mission is, what the goal is. And then honestly, as leadership and owners, if you have to report to your whole team every quarter, like what the goal is, what got done, what, where we're at, what's the status
Makes you
report,
take a hard look at yourself.
they hold you accountable
Yeah.
as the leadership to every quarter. You got to report to the team what, are you steering the ship in the right direction? Are you getting the results that you're promising to the team?
And I've stood up there multiple times and said, we didn't hit our goal.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. You just have to be honest and say that. But we also talk about in our quarterly meetings any policy updates that might happen. And like he said, what we've been working on, because there was typically friction of like, why aren't Tanner and Andrew in the back with a squeegee in their hand? And I think there's just this assumption of if we're not visible to them, we must not be working.
Yep.
So it kind of is our time to say like, this is what we've been working on, and almost kind of like, here's our proof, respectfully, because it's like you want to gain their respect and show what you're doing and show the progress, not to such a nitty gritty detail of like, here's my email, it's clear, stuff like that. But let them know. I also let them know what's coming up in the next quarter so that there's not this questioning. I've noticed that when the team has no idea what's coming up next, they just kind of make it up and start telling everybody. And I'm like, I have no idea where that came from. Like, none of that is true. So why not tell them exactly? And as a team, you're telling everyone at one time so that the message doesn't get distorted. So a big thing I always do is I tell them our hiring plans. Like we're hoping to bring on 2 more team members. So there's not this shock of like, why is this new person here?
Yeah.
I said it in the quarterly meeting that I wanted to hire 2 more people.
And like to your point of even like updating the policy. So for us in Ohio, like we get snow and we just had our last quarterly. So Tanner ran that quarterly and gave everyone the update of like essentially what our snow day policy is. So it's not chaotic when
on the first snow.
Yeah, on the first snow, it's like everyone knows because we went over it. We communicated that at the quarterly of this is how we're going to handle snow this year.
I also think it's good twofold too, because not only does your team know, but it forced actually me and Andrew, I pulled you aside and I was like, what we've been doing for snow has not been working. So what's our policy? Let's come up with it now and let's stick with it. And I told the team, this is the first year we've done a policy specific like this. So we're going to see how it goes this winter. It might crash and burn. I hope not. I don't think it will. But let's see how it goes this winter, and then we might adjust after. So just be upfront with your team. If you're trying something new, you're allowed to say, I'm trying this new. We're going to try it for X amount of time, and then we're going to reassess.
Yeah.
So I think that's helpful as well, to where you don't feel stuck in like, oh, I told them this, so now I have to stay in this. And it can also be fun. I try to bring up our team outings. So our last production meeting, everyone voted on what they wanted to do for our Christmas party.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool because it was not at all what we thought they would pick. So I'm glad we did a little survey to figure out what the team wanted. So again, that's the quarterly cadence. And that is just nice because I noticed before we started doing that quarterly meeting, you would have to individually tell everyone, this is what we're working on. This is our plan. This is how many people we're hiring. So it's like, let's condense it all into 1 hour, 1 day a quarter. And that is that.
And I think in addition to that quarterly, and then we'll go into the next cadence, which I believe is our yearly.
Don't worry, that one's really small.
Yeah, it is. From what I've seen, like if you're not doing quarterlies, I mean, if you're not doing the dailies and the weeklies or whatever, like start there. But from what I've seen of the quarterlies, where we're essentially reporting to the team of what our goal is, what our mission is, where we're going, it seems like we're starting to get a solid buy-in from the team because now they feel like they're in on that.
Yeah.
They're in on our goals and they're understanding.
And they want to help and join.
Yeah, they want to help.
I also think this is the difference of building a job or a career.
Yeah.
And I want to build careers for our team. I don't just want to build jobs. That being said, do we have high school students that will help clean cars? Sure. And it might just be a job for them, but I still make them go through orientation and they sit in on these meetings and they're treated just like every other member of the team. So keep that in mind of you're doing it for you, but you're really doing it for them because what type of place would you want to work for? That being said, we've had pushback from people who felt, oh, this is corporate-y. And it's like, to me, it's organized. I'm not trying to be corporate-y at all. But you'll get that and you just kind of have to pick your battles on that.
I was going to say, I mean, there's definitely going to be the shops out there that are not corporate-y or like, bring a case of beer in and let's
let's stay up all night and wrap this Friday. And we used to be that.
Yeah, but
it didn't work. It wasn't, you can't grow that.
Yeah.
So that's really good if you just want to have, 2-3 people wrapping and that's it. But if you're trying to grow it, you have to set some systems up. And if you think about it, all of these meetings are in place because if we're trying to hire that install manager, well, guess what? Here's all of our meetings. This is what I need you to run. This is what I need you to attend.
Yeah.
And your best friend in all of this is some sort of digital calendar. So every single thing is just on a repeat event. We use Google Calendar specifically. Me and Andrew and our front desk person all are on it so we can all see each other. But every week we know production meeting is Tuesday at 10:30. One-to-ones, it says, team member A, team member B, one-to-one from 8 to 8:30, 9 to 9:30. And it's a set up on a reoccurring, and then you backfill any other priority or obligation you may have. Like Andrew knows Tuesdays are a hard day to miss. Like he won't schedule other meetings on Tuesday because that's our big team meeting day.
Yeah.
So it seems like a lot verbally talking about it, but when you set it up on a reoccurring on the calendar, like I saw October, I was like, oh shoot, we have a quarterly meeting coming up. And I knew I had a week to prepare for it. So it'll pop up on your calendar and auto kind of populate for you.
And even to that Tuesday one-to-ones, as the install manager who also has to obviously be paying attention to efficiencies in production, I know that all my one-to-ones are on Tuesdays. I don't necessarily hit the exact same time with the exact same person in the exact same order because we're all wrapping cars. And when you start a panel, it's like, all right, I know that person's on that panel for an hour, but back to Abby wrapping that trailer, Abby just finished her panel. So let me grab her real quick. We'll do our one-to-one. And then when she's done, I'll go back out to see where people are at on their stuff. So, because I'm also trying to be mindful of not messing up their workflow. So
well, you're nicer than me. So once a month, I actually take over Andrew's one-to-ones and I check in on the team and I ask, how is Andrew doing? How is your boss? Which is kind of funny telling someone's wife how their husband is doing. But I joke. I'm like, you can't say anything that I wouldn't say either.
That's our rules.
But mine's brief. Mine's a quick 15-minute. And I'm not telling them how they're doing as an installer. I'm telling them or letting them say, I'm unhappy with my job, or I'm happy, or I'm having this issue with a teammate, or I'm not compensated fairly, or whatever it may be. But all that being said, I actually stick to the set time. I pull them right off their panel. I'm like, I'm pulling you for 15 minutes. You'll be fine. Unless they're like teamwork with someone, but because I'm very scheduled and I like to get mine done. So you can set this up however you want to do it. You could just let your team know Tuesdays are one-to-ones day. I'll come grab you. I like it set and scheduled. There's always differences. But anywho, that's that. And then Andrew touched on yearly. It's nothing crazy. Every year we do a big award where we award a week of PTO and $1,000 cash bonus to the team member that displayed our core values the most. And then there may be annual raises, but those are at your anniversary, not the calendar year change. But and then the quarterly, instead of a quarterly meeting, you would have your yearly kickoff meeting. So like I said, the bigger meetings will replace a smaller meeting. So it's not like 1 week, you have 20 meetings. So all of these happen on repeat. And the big thing that, I want to bring home here is there's going to be periods of time as the owner, manager, whatever your title may be, that chaos ensues. You're going to have someone quit. You're going to have something personal come up. You're going to have 4 people on vacation at the same time. But it is up to you to keep calm and keep that cadence and keep that rhythm. And it's also easier if you can kind of pre-tell the team, maybe in that weekly meeting, next week is going to be hell. For me, I have this and this and this going on. So this is my plan for you guys. And you would be amazed how much they want to help you out when you just admit this is a lot going on. I mean, one of my favorite examples is your grandpa passed away at one time, and we had to get his grandma into an assisted living facility, and we had to clear her apartment and go through it was this huge thing.
I pretty much needed a week or multiple weeks to deal with that.
Yeah. And just telling the team, this is exactly what I'm going through and how helpful they were. You just have to realize that people can't understand silence.
Mhm.
They don't understand what's going on there. So, like Andrew mentioned, we had turnover at our front desk position. So, at our owners meeting, I looked at the following week and I was like, okay, well, how are you going to train this individual and do one-to-ones? And I think you had like a networking meeting on the calendar.
Mhm.
So, in advance, we could already divvy it out and move things around and then tell the team a week prior. I think we moved everyone's meetings up to Friday instead of that
'Cause
following Tuesday.
those were the one-to-ones, but they were specifically the quarterly one-to-ones, which is a little bit more of like a recap of the quarter, your goals, what's our new goals for your quarter moving forward. So to your point, those were falling on the same week, the second day specifically of the new hire
Andrew's
front
being very
desk.
specific, trying to confuse you, but you get the gist.
Yeah. So
They're like, what?
new hire and performance review quarterly one-to-ones in the same week didn't work. So we just communicated that, pulled those performance reviews to the Friday before, so that the week of the new hire, I only had one-to-one on the first week of the new hire because that individual seemed like it needed to happen. And I just proactively communicated, again, you don't want to cancel meetings, but I can't train someone on their second day and be constantly in one-to-one meetings all day. So proactively communicating that mitigated the chaos and the feel of uncertainty because we pulled those meetings to the Friday before rather than the Tuesday. And then next week, we'll be right back to normal meeting cadence because front desk will be past their first week. They'll be able to hold it down for a couple hours while I'm in and out of one-to-ones.
But the point is, if you want your team to communicate with you, why are you not the leader in that?
Yeah.
I think we just listen to a leader say, you have to be great at what you want your team to be good at.
Yeah.
So we are, if you've gotten anything out of this podcast apart from your team craves consistency, I hope you got that you cannot communicate enough. And you're going to repeat yourself a lot. But I hope that through all of this communication, they see that, wow, communication is very important to them. I should give that same communication back. So I don't really know how to describe that better. It's just kind of like you're showing what you want to receive.
Yeah.
Basically. So all that to say, do you have any wrap-up points? Any final things to hit home before we close it out here?
No, I think we've pretty much hit them all of just, you got to create consistency in a chaotic world of wrapping.
Yeah. And I know we just threw a million things at you of like what we personally do. Again, that didn't happen overnight. We did not sit down in one day and we're like, you know what? Every day we're going to do this and every week we're going to do this and every quarter. You kind of just pick something. I think our very first thing we ever systematized like this was cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
And we started with cleaning. And we noticed that when you would take a month off, you might as well throw the cleaning chart away because they were like, oh, they don't care. They don't check it. So anywho, start somewhere small. Maybe you start as easy as your attendance policy. And it's, you know what, guys, this is our start time. And at this exact time, that is considered late. And you go from there. But don't beat yourself up too hard to feel like you have to do every single one of these steps. Definitely work up to it. But you are going to have to take a minute away from the team to realize what is my problem and maybe how could I fix it with some sort of daily, weekly, quarterly cadence and go from there and put it in a calendar. We wouldn't exist without a Google Calendar.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, the bigger the team that we've grown, the more important that it's become. And then the catch-22 of that is the bigger the team becomes, the harder it is to make any changes.
Yeah.
So start your consistency now, early, as like yesterday, and then just hold on to it as you continue to grow.
Yeah. And to kind of add to that too, especially if you're bringing in a new people or maybe you had an issue where people quit and you're bringing in a new staff, that is perfect time to try out something new, get back on the horse and try it because that new person is going to think that's how things have always been.
Yep.
And so it's almost kind of like empowering to just not have to explain like this is our snow policy and here's why. It's just this is our snow policy.
That's how we do it.
This is how we do it here and then move on. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that you think we are weird as hell with the amount of repeat things that we do. You should see our personal life at home. It's pretty much the same, which is kind of creepy. Definitely be sure to send this if you have a friend in the wrap industry who you think could use a little nudge to be more organized. Send it to them. Maybe if you think your boss could use a little more organization, maybe know that if you got this message from an employee, that means they care about you and they want the business to grow. So take the feedback lightly.
And to be super selfish here, I know all y'all have started something for the first time, and it's super hard to get it started off the ground. It's like the only people watching and liking are your mom and your grandma. So please, selfishly, it's been some time since we've started something from the ground. Like, subscribe, give us a review. They really, really do matter.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, you can head over to wrapops.com and ask us anything, and we will answer it in the podcast. So who knows, you might get a shout out and an episode dedicated to that question, which is great. So, alrighty, we'll see you in the next episode. Can't wait to welcome you in.